First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for attending today. Thank you very much. And thank you to Sherry for opening her home. Appreciate that. So we have a presentation here, Trends in Water Features, which is a little bit misleading in that it's not really a trend as much as it is more of a paradigm shift in what we've seen as far as client-driven design requests. And a lot of what we do is, first of all, anything, for those that aren't familiar with water features, it's pretty much anything with moving water that offers an aesthetic enhancement. Typically located in the garden, but it can be elsewhere as far as a water wall or something else, interior, smaller interior fountains.
Love that.
Here's just a fairly simple koi pond. It's somewhat compact. You know, some of this is a little just good photography, which is always highly recommended.
So is that a residence or is that a commercial?
This is residential. The majority of our work is residential. That's not to say that any given year the right commercial projects come along. Usually commercial projects are budget driven, and we're the type of firm that is much more artistic and detailed, and often we price ourselves out of that market. It really, the residential market, it's a particular eye that a client has that is really looking for a natural look or a clean look, and that we can certainly offer. Here we see a water wall, indoor.
Wait, go back to the water wall, sorry.
Yeah, and if there's any questions, please just stop me. I've got quite a few slides, so I'm going to move.
Yes, so this is an interior, and the water comes from the top and goes down into a trough?
Correct,
okay.
Correct. Yeah, this is an interior water wall.
So this is someone's foyer, is that?
Yes, this is a foyer for a condominium in Evanston.
A condominium, so did you have problems with the connections on it?
Oh, that's funny that you mentioned that. Yeah, a lot of what we do, is we do with stainless steel when it comes to a lot of the interior stuff, just to make sure that there's minimal problems, if any.
Yeah, when I was a builder, my past life, we did one for Buzz Hoffman from Lakewood Homes, and it was, I think we ended up calling you for help at the end, so it was quite interesting.
Everybody thinks they can do them, and a lot of them are just train wrecks. It's bad. Mold issues, all kinds of leak issues, can be very problematic when not done correctly. This is on the larger end, commercial development in Wheeling. Each of these waterfalls is approximately 50 feet wide.
Wow.
Entrance to I think there's 8 buildings planned for that space. But one of the larger projects in this area to date, a commercial application, again driven by the client looking for a very particular look, entrance-wise into the development.
And is that environmentally sensitive?
Absolutely, yeah.
Recycle.
Here what we're doing is we're actually capturing a lot of the groundwater and pumping it back into the pond. So we're minimizing the amount of consumption that the water feature they typically occupy. But in this case, we're pulling a lot of that water and putting it back in.
Great.
Residential fountain. This is larger in scale. There'll be another picture later down the road, but granite, all custom. For anybody familiar with the Portillo residence, I know Sherry had done some work there. Yeah, this is the entrance fountain. He had a fountain prior to that, which he absolutely hated, which it was hideous. Yeah. It was a bad fountain for anybody that had seen it before. But he had seen this out vacationing in California, and he liked it. Sent us out there. We took all the measurements, came up with a design based off of that, and then facilitated it.
Amazing.
Much better than the original.
Oh yes, yeah.
So Jason, in that fountain, did you make the fountain portion? I mean, the stone?
So it's all granite, hand carved. It was hand carved in China. So there's I think 105 pieces that needed to be assembled, but the hydraulics was substantial. The construction, what you don't see is all the substructure what it takes to do this. And there's a shot a little bit later down the road in the presentation that illustrates some of the work that goes into that. But a lot, yeah. It's a lot of fun. It's nice.
Do you also swim in that one? Is it very
good for wading?
Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah. Here's just a smaller water feature in that when we start to talk about paradigms and trends, a lot of what we're seeing the demand for is water features in very small spaces. So what that requires is proper grading and or disguise of surrounding grade to allow you to have waterfalls. in this case, it's a natural waterfall, which is a little bit tricky to disguise some of that grade, but when done correctly, you can definitely pull it off in the smaller spaces.
And how about in the city?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've
But
done
not on a rooftop.
some rooftops, yeah, and there's, I've got a few illustrations coming out to
Okay.
kind of
I have seen them, but
Jen-
I forgot about that.
demonstrate that. Here's a rooftop. This is a very simple water feature in that it's just an antique vase, which the client had us plumb and just circulate water. It just offers the audio aspect and a simple piece that's singular in nature. More of a sculptural type water feature, a little more abstract.
Wow.
This was part of a temporary display that we did for the Flower and Garden Show, but formal in nature, just a simple reflecting pool, and we've got this piece of granite is a substantial piece of stone, slightly overflowing. Just a very,
Very interesting.
yeah,
Yeah.
simple.
It's actually bluestone, Pennsylvania bluestone.
Yes, it is.
Wow.
Yeah, all of this
Solid
is
piece.
bluestone, yeah. This is the backside of that larger water feature in Wheeling. Just a really simple set of fountains, just offering a simple touch to it, a walkway, not being too dramatic for the space. I think it was quite fitting for the backside of it.
Sure.
Reflecting pool immediately adjacent to the house, which offers a lot of different views. And it's nice because it also, when you get the light involved, it offers a lot of the refraction of the light back in through the home, which is a really nice effect. Fountain placed into the wall. There's actually the entry door is over here, which the shot's a little bit tighter than I'd like, but it gives you an idea of space and making sure that the water feature is properly placed and properly sized for the area. This is a pondless water feature, which kind of comes back to one of the trends. You hear pondless quite a bit, where people are concerned about maintenance, which really isn't that big of a deal when you're talking about standing water. Here what we have is there's a pump that sits in a vault and just circulates this. And the pondless does offer a little bit more room as far as what you need in space to create a nice natural area versus having a pond, which is going to require a little bit more, depending on if you want to have fish, plants, different types of aquatics.
Do you do the maintenance also then?
We do, absolutely, yeah. We do offer maintenance throughout the greater Chicagoland area. And I should also say that we work as far as the build, design aspect nationwide. So we have projects that we've done in California to Maine thus far. Here's a shot of a natural stream. Again, a lot of what we hear clients looking for is just a very natural appearance. And a lot of that comes down to making sure that there's dimension within streams and properly scaled stone, as well as plantings within the stone pockets.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Just a series of fountains again, and we had talked about pondless basins. There it is, fancy lasers going.
Oh, no.
So what we have is a pump here just recirculating with the water trickling through, giving a nice, very clean effect to the fountain. This would also be considered a pondless basin, where it's just recirculating from a basin located underground. This, again, is more singular in nature, where you can actually have this on a patio or on a rooftop where you have very limited space, but you can have a very natural feel because the stone itself is very singular in nature. You don't need the grade around it to support the flow of the water.
So how much space do you need for something like that? Minimal.
Depending on the size of the stone, I would say like a 6x6 space would really allow for a nice vignette. Again, when you start to talk about space and making sure that ponds and water features are appropriately sized, you need to consider the existing landscape. I mean, here this is a project in Lake Forest where we had a significant canopy, so we wanted to make sure that it fit in well without being obtrusive to the remainder of the landscape.
Sure. Beautiful.
Entry shot, this is actually Homer Glen, right down the road. We'd like to have a symposium here one day.
Yeah, let's do
Yeah,
it.
put some wine in the hot tub.
Swim
That's a good spot.
Sure.
But this is a relatively compact lot in that it's 80 by 60 approximately. And there's a lot of mature trees, so there was a little bit of dancing that we needed to do to get that pond in. But we have a sunken hot tub, which offers views. And again, by sinking the hot tub, it's much less obtrusive than something that's raised and causes, doesn't draw your eye to the hot tub rather than everything else that's going around. But it's nice, even when you're in a hot tub, you get to take advantage of different views that you otherwise wouldn't standing.
That's amazing. Is that your house, Jason?
I wish. No.
Oh, wow.
Again, just coming back to appropriate size and location, this is it's an ideal view.
Looks like a painting,
Yeah.
a painting that changes.
Yeah. And this, again, we're talking about orientation and placement of the water feature related to the home here. This is a home that kind of comes back through this way and leads back around. But what we have is a pathway that goes over a stream and then converts to a natural pathway, and then the pond continues off. Again, this is just an illustration of space where we have the home which comes in on this side of the pond. It's about 20 feet off, but it gives you an idea of orientation of the water feature related to the home, as well as that's the guest home behind it. And then you have the entertaining space to bring people out and offer different views. We didn't do this retaining wall here. You can see how there's larger stone here, and then we actually work with a lot of different landscape firms. So sometimes the scopes of work are fairly clear as to where they start and stop. And we use much larger stone than what's commonly used, and then you have kind of some smaller stone over here. But it's kind of one of those things where you see the picture, you're like, it doesn't really work, but it's what it is. Entrance to a feature, there's a nice piece of stone set here with the water passing under. This is a project on the Fox River in Barrington. We have, this is away from the home, and when we talk about orientation and size and space, what we've done here is, we didn't install this deck. This is a cantilevered steel deck that draws people right into the water feature and offers fantastic views. In addition to the deck, there's steppers incorporated throughout the water feature to allow visitors to get up close and wet if interested. Different view.
Wow, that's that same house?
Yes, same house, yeah,
Oh my
different view.
gosh.
Yeah, we were actually there at like 6 a.m. on September day. It was perfect. The fog came in, and it was a good day to take pictures. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. Here's one more.
Oh, my.
Where is this again?
Barrington on the Fox River. If anyone's familiar with the ski jump, it's almost across the river from that.
Wow.
Let me see the house.
His house, it's fairly modest.
Really?
Yeah, to be quite honest, it's not, he's just more, he wanted to have something, and he pulled some strings to get it installed in the Fox River.
What kind of money did he pay you to do this?
This project, I want to say, was about 15 years old, and I want to say it was about 300,000, somewhere in that area.
Now, is that connected to the river, though?
Yes, it's an open system.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
So when
Okay.
you're on the river, because I live up that way, when you're on the river and you're boating through there, you can.
Yeah, it's nice.
So is this the river right here? No.
No, this is a different project.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is the project, the larger commercial development, kind of a shot of the falls, just giving you an idea of the stonework within the fall to make proper water movements. And that's very important, especially when you start to get bigger. So you don't want to see just a sheer drop. You want to move the water and offer different interest as far as.
Are you always using real rock, or do you ever manufacture something that looks like rock?
We're real stone. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah. As far as the natural applications, yeah, it's always real stone.
So how was it dealing with the Army Corps of Engineers?
Oh yeah, they're a treat. Yeah, yeah, no, they're a lot. Yeah, there's always a lot of hoops to go through, especially when you're talking about an open system with any regulated body. This is that same shot. Dean, I thought you would appreciate these Christmas lights. Yeah. Again, kind of one of those things that, just the same shot of the same commercial development in the winter.
Wow.
Piece of the stone related to that. So, and that's, some of those pieces were in excess of 30 tons. big pieces. This is a shot of that fountain from before, the Portillo fountain. And he actually wanted this fountain bigger. We talked him down. It's really talking client into downsizing, but you know, again, it comes back to appropriately scaling relative to the home. And obviously, it's a significant home, but you can only have so much fountain before it starts to look obtrusive. And here's a look at just the hydraulics related to that during construction, because there was already an established granite drive to the residence, so we actually had to dig down where the fountain was going to be and then bore a hole underneath the driveway, large enough. I want to say that that hole was a 30-inch hole to accommodate all of the plumbing. So much for the laser. Here's a rooftop garden. This overlooks Millennium Park, gorgeous view. And what we have is a Japanese-themed garden, some hardscape, close-up of the water feature. Again, what you see here is a very simple fountain where you don't need a lot of grade to disguise the water and have a nice natural feature. Swim ponds. This is actually a swim pond in Hinsdale, and we've seen a pretty substantial increase in demand for swim ponds. Yeah, the swim ponds are, yeah, there's a substantial interest for them. Unfortunately, a lot of that is driven by misinformation, that people think that they can have a swim pond for $5,000 or $10,000 because the internet said so. And you know, they might be able to do that, but that's their definition of the swim pond is certainly be different from ours.
Only if you're a French model.
Yes, exactly.
So how much would a swim pond like this be?
Typically swim ponds are going to start between $75,000 to, you know, this one would probably be more along the lines of $200,000.
Is there gunite under there, or what's?
No, this is a lined application.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, go ahead.
is it chemically treated, or how do you?
Well, there's
We really rely on bacteria, beneficial bacteria, and proper water flows. As far as sterilization goes, this has an ozone system which sterilizes the water. So the water is crystal clear, and filtration, the amount of filtration really comes back to the size of the pond and what you want to do. In this case, the owner has a significant koi collection, so there's certainly a filtration impact related to that.
I see. So like a pool starts at 70 or 60, it goes up to well
Yeah,
over 200. So
it's fair to say it's going to be more than a typical pool. And there's a lot of different ways to build it as well.
great.
I got to sample the swim with my son. It's fun. There's a look at the filtration, that's a detached garage, but it's filtration. It's significant. You know, there's to make the water crystal clear. I mean, it's as clear as a pool,
Wow.
but there's a lot of filtration there as well.
And that's for the swim pond.
Correct.
Got it.
This is a job we did in Burr Ridge. Just gives you an overall look at the preliminary design. A fairly large footprint, Colorado-style home, but what's important is the water feature relative to the home and the surrounding space in the backyard. The stream itself, I think, came out to be about 110 feet, which it is a fair amount of stream, but you can see that it gets lost pretty quickly. You can't even see the stream in this picture, and there's 110 feet of it.
Did you guys do the landscape for this house?
We did, yeah. We did the entire project. My son's got to take place in a photo shoot.
Yeah. So that's the stream in that house?
Yes, yeah, this is the stream. I'll have another shot of the waterfall. A lot of, another interesting part of this is the bluestone patio. A lot of these pieces themselves are in excess of 100 square feet. We were looking for a very natural feel to the patio, so we brought some bluestone in from Pennsylvania, and it really gives it a really nice look. Example of some of the pieces. Got my wife into the shot as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
there you go.
Wine,
Yes. There, is this your house?
the things I do, yeah, things I do for the job.
Yeah. It's tough. It's a tough life.
It was 90 degrees standing next to a fire, which I didn't appreciate, but
Yeah. Too bad. I'm so sorry.
and there's a shot of the waterfall.
Oh, the fire pit. Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
I didn't bring any shots in the front of the yard. Angela did a fantastic job with that, and this job was actually awarded Judges Award, which is the highest award given by the Illinois Landscape
Wow.
Construction Association. This is a job we actually are in the almost completed, I should say. We started last October. This is in Lake of the Ozarks. Open system again, pulling from the lake. Even more regulation from the Fox River location, as this particular body of water is governed by Ameren because there's a dam there that pulls power. So not only is it, you know, the Army Corps, but it's also the Department of Energy, Ameren, Homeowners Association. There's any number of things that you have to go through to
Just
make
a
sure.
fun thing.
Yeah, lot of planning. And this is covering roughly 200 feet of stream / waterfall and pond.
Wow. Beautiful.
These are Angelo's design here, perspective. And this stone is actually a field stone that came out of Missouri. It's a gorgeous stone.
Just beautiful.
And how do most of your clients find you?
It's a great range every year. I mean, it's referrals. We work with any number of landscape firms. From Schmechtig, I know we've looked at a few projects with you guys, and Mariani. It's any number of things. But yeah, this particular client found us on Enid, which is always a good spot to be found.
Yes. So you should do some video marketing.
Yes, you can't have enough video.
Shot
some
that
stuff.
works on the sound, can you imagine?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We're working on it. We're playing catch up, but yeah. This is a design that we did in conjunction with Craig Anderson. He brought us in. It's a tea house in River Woods, and Craig had a client that was looking for a very natural Japanese garden to surround his tea house. And there's the design. I'm going to take you in. We're going to start with shots coming from here, and then we'll go around.
And this was what, like a 5-year project, Jason?
Oh yeah, I mean, essentially, there's still work to be done. I mean, it's ongoing. He's a big fan of garden space, which we certainly appreciate. There's the entrance to the tea house. The tea house will be right to the left of this picture, but in traditional.
It's like a pagoda.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah, there's a couple shots toward the end. In traditional Japanese culture, you wash your hands before entering the tea house, and what we've done there is we have a boulder that's bowled out. And there's no shots that really illustrate that. I apologize for that, but it's perfectly smooth and they're almost like a sink. Coming around further, you start to see the stream coming around. This is an island located off the pond, and the island, I mean, just very detailed granite pegs. Coming around a little bit more, you can see that
It has, it's the coolest thing, it has, you drop your feet, you like sit down and your feet fall into the ground, and it's
Yeah.
got a massage room and.
And originally, we weren't allowed to do that, but we waited till the inspectors were out, and then we said, because you can't have the water end here. You really can't have the water end here. That wouldn't, it wouldn't look right as far as the tea house is concerned. We needed to bring the water underneath the deck to really give it the effect that it needs and deserves, to be quite honest. That tea house is.
We've asked
phenomenal.
Craig to have an event there many times, so we're working on it.
Yeah.
Maybe you can work on
Oh,
that.
the tea house is
It's
fine.
unbelievable.
Where is that at?
Riverwoods, right down, yeah.
So here's a shot from this would be the south. Just a stepping stone pathway. There's more water going this way, entering the tea house. There's the pathway in bloom, if you will. There's some lotus and lilies that surround it. Usually there's any number of flowers surrounding it. Just a gorgeous, any number of paths there, but offering a really nice pathway
That's
back.
the inside. See how your feet fall in? That's like
I think the next,
a,
yeah, shot of both doors open. There's a shot back toward the entrance. And what you can kind of see here is there's a soaker tub that also has a spigot similar to the entry spigot. Granite walls, but the details phenomenal.
gorgeous, you guys are unbelievable.
Shot in the fall. And
It's awesome. We're gonna take a quick break, but before we do, Jason, so what's a budget that we should consider to talk to you about? Because we don't wanna like waste your time.
we do, the range in installations varies greatly. I mean, we'll do simple installations that start at 5,000 and go up from there. Typically, when you start to talk about koi ponds, it's going to start in the 20 to 30,000 range. And these are all very loose figures, but we're very open to design, and we certainly appreciate any referrals and work with many different clients. It's best to get in very early, and then you can start to design and project costs from there.
Okay, so if anybody has a client, then I guess first a phone call with Jason to get an idea
Absolutely.
if it's feasible.
Yeah, typically we do charge for consultations. If there's ever a referral, if we have a client, we won't charge, just based on professional courtesy,
Right.
obviously.
Yeah, I'm sure most of you would want to be in that meeting anyway.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So